Negative space. It's one of my favourite techniques to use when composing for street photography, while I'm not taking pictures of buildings everyone has seen already. It brings a kind of automatic minimalism to your pictures that works really well for isolating subjects, and I've used it plenty of times. The technique basically just means filling a lot of your frame with black space or empty space, usually in the form of some crushed shadows, which forces the viewer to observe only the visible parts of the frame, as your eye is normally drawn to the brighter parts of an image. While not all of the images I take today will use this technique, I'll take advantage of the harsh sunlight and come back to it frequently. Right now I'm walking through central London. The day is pretty much at a close as everyone prepares to head home after work. The sun is pretty low in the sky, which means in between a bunch of skyscrapers there's actually not much direct light, which seems obvious in hindsight, but I didn't predict that. I arrived at this super useful beam of light, which absolutely blinded me. You literally could not look at the pavement in this area because it was so incredibly bright, it was like looking into the sun. Of course, I immediately got to work trying to find a good composition for the scene. I was really waiting for some people to walk through the middle of the road. I think this picture looks better upside down. It gives a super warped perspective that still makes sense after a bit of looking, especially because you can see everyone's outline at the bottom of the frame. This scene still had a lot of untapped potential, so I went around and did some more experimentation. That was all the time I really wanted to spend there, so I moved on to find more exciting stuff. Now, my settings for street photography are always with a minimum shutter speed of 1/500th of a second with just auto ISO. I really want to freeze all the movement in the frame so there's no chance of getting a soft blurred image. These buildings are again a perfect example of a subject where this isn't needed at all. Yay! Another beam of light, let's get to work. I found the idea of capturing the silhouettes of vehicles and bikes against this light, as it seemed to frame up pretty much exactly with the bikes in particular. Now this shot is annoying. It would have been perfect if not for the person walking through the frame. This is of course just bad luck. You can't really blame other people for your photos since it's almost always a skill or a patience issue. So I waited, and with the beam fading, captured an image I was happy with, though really not as defined as one earlier would have been. So anyway, I started walking, and here we are a mile or so away at St. Paul's Cathedral. How'd that happen? Well, somehow nothing really caught my eye in the entire walk there from the city, and you'll mostly be seeing me make my way towards the south of the river now. I thought it could be interesting to take a long exposure of these waves, though I don't think it turned out amazing. It's an interesting picture to have taken while walking around London, as it looks more like a landscape image, albeit a crap one. I do really like this picture from under the bridge. Everything lines up very nicely, and I really like the use of negative space here since it really draws you to look at the bridge as well as the bus and maybe the couple subjects near the end. I really only wish that the two people at the end of this walkway were framed to be a bit more obviously there. And again, I really should think about where my camera is in a lot of these shots, since all of you are just going to get a view of my elbow and camera strap, which isn't very entertaining. After walking past a Leica user, totally not jealous. I basically just kept walking down the river. It's nice to just walk along and take pictures of whatever captures your eye, though I think a focal length of 35mm rather than 50 would have suited this place better, given I actually prefer looking at my body cam footage rather than the actual images I took there. Wider was definitely the way to go. Bridges around the Thames always have good scenes waiting around them, and this one was no different. Don't really know what I was trying here, but I think it worked out okay. Photography is all experimentation, I guess. This is another picture I'm annoyed about. I got the composition really right, but it's very overexposed. Definitely my fault. I've actually started to really enjoy using the Z8 for street photography. Yeah, it's kinda big, but its features like the completely silent shutter are useful. And I'm also really fond of the autofocus. I know it's kinda blasphemy to autofocus for street photography, but here we are, I'm using it. I mean, I'm sure I could manual focus, but this is much easier and much more fun. I promise it's not a skill issue. I was starting to go crazy at this point since there didn't seem to be any photographic opportunities, and I considered walking back to the station nearby. I kept going though and explored around more. I found this weird clock building, which was completely in shadow and perfectly eclipsed the sun. And I think this is one of my best images from the day. I really like how the shape of the building is still obvious enough for it to be recognizable, but it's a completely different style to how pictures of this location are usually taken. Thank you, weird clock building. This "Stop Hell is Real" sign, along with the actual stop sign and bored looking person, also come together for a nice frame. Good to see tourism is still very much of a thing in London. These telephone boxes are cool though, and sometimes provide nice opportunities for pictures. Tiredness was definitely setting in at this point. I'd probably walked about 9k in the space of a few hours, so I was very knackered and wanted to go home. For my final few images, I found a pigeon woman who I was definitely too scared to talk to. I probably could have asked if I could take her portrait because it would have been a great picture, but I didn't really feel like bothering anyone. This squirrel was definitely wanting his own picture though.
What's up, little guy?
Only positive vibes. Which reminds me, I've kind of lost the negative space ideas from this walk, and I'm just having fun now. Overall, the day had gone well, and I came away with a good few pictures that I was happy with. If I had to make a top 5, it would probably be these images, and my favourite from the day has to be this one. I just really like how the framing turned out with the 4 guys, and it will definitely be the most memorable image I take away from the day for me. Let me know in the comments if you have a different opinion, of course. Also, go and follow my Instagram, as the best images from today were posted there before this video even went out. So if you want sneak peeks, do go over there. Thank you for watching this video, I very much appreciate it, and I'll see you next week.